And this is Jeff Blackie, and this will be my last video that I do about Mournblade. The previous videos explained to you how the origins of the CDs and albums came about, and this is going to be my final thoughts about Mournblade and the albums themselves and the personnel that was in the band. So some of my thoughts are that in 1987, two guys got together by accident and started jamming. By accident, we recorded on a cassette player that, or whatever we was jamming. Some songs eventually became out of just the jamming sessions, and we formed the band Mournblade. We was going to attempt to do something with it. We had no idea that there was a UK band that just broke up at that time from the UK. So we have absolutely nothing to do with the UK band, and we didn't even know they exist. And on and off over the many years that plagued the band, we had Danny that come aboard to play the bass for us. There's a couple of videos we did of the Basement tapes from 1993 on video camera. And eventually, years later, it led to, after 9/11, I went on multiple deployments, and some of them I volunteered to be able to survive through the highly dangerous missions overseas, and in Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, to be able to get money for we can be able to buy some new equipment and pretty much, kick some ass, get some live shows going. And my thoughts on the band itself. At the time, it was just me and Rick, and then we had Danny come aboard. And Danny, again, did not last very long. He went off to meet this girl in New Jersey, and he blew the chance to record the Mangled Lies album. And yes, it's still doing the reverse thing. The Mangled Lies album that we did in 2006 after I came back from my second deployment, we picked up this guy Todd, the rock and roll drummer who was not a metal drummer, and we put this album together, 5 tracks for Open Grave Records. And my thoughts about this album. At the time, in 2006, we were all enthusiastic about it. We're like, dude, we made a professional album. You can go to Best Buy, and some people claim they found it in record shops. Some places as far as Israel, Turkey, England, Germany, the album showed up. At the time, I was enthusiastic about it. I was happy. We had no guitar solos. But my thoughts now, 10 years later, or 14 years later, that the album I thought was very amateurish. Rick's guitar playing, of course, was very tight. But the rest of us, I believe, wasn't up to par. We were all a bunch of rank amateurs. Todd's drumming was not the appropriate drumming for the album, for the type of music that we were trying to project. He just simply did not fit in. And so I'm looking back on 2020 hindsight. I thought the Mournblade Mangled Lies album was very amateurish, garage band at best. My lyrics were silly, childish in some ways, shapes, or form. The only really good song that I liked about it was the 3rd track, which is all about the god Set, the Egyptian god Set. And the song only lasts like a minute and like 42 seconds or something. Again, that's how I felt about the Mangled Lies. So those are my thoughts. Of course, the demo was very raw, but it was not officially released, but it was a demo. So after Open Grave Records dumped us, we went over to VD Records, and we performed. We did the 1917 3-track EP for VD Records. This by far was this was a very good album. Actually, I thought it was very good. With a lot of practice inside the studio, we cranked this thing out. I wrote 1917 when I was over in Egypt, and Metal Storm, Rick and Todd put together while I was overseas. And Burning Force was an older song from way back in the day. So we helped Todd with this drumming for that. So it was a punk rock track. And Burning Force was my favorite track. And Rick put down a couple of guitar solos, which are actually very good. So my thoughts on this was very good. I actually enjoyed the EP very much. And it was very popular. And when we did live shows, we get, they get a nice little pit going with with Burning Force. They just get a little pit going. So I was very happy about it. I wanted to release more. We only did 300. I wanted to expand on it with BD Records. So when I went, I went and got more money, and I went to Iraq, volunteered. Can you believe that? I came back alive, and we took the money and did the Pray for the Dead CD, or the 3-track EP. We didn't have Todd at the time. Todd turned around and joined a pop rock band called Another Sky. So I promised BD Records that I was going to do this 3-track EP. So we went into the studio anyway, me and Rick, and Caleb Bingham, who was engineering at that time, who formerly of Five Finger Death Punch and Ascension, and now in Anesthesia. A big shout out goes to Caleb for his wonderful work on this. He did great drum tracks. And while I was in Iraq, I wrote Machines of War and Pray for the Dead while I was in the Iraq War. And I sent those home. Rick put some great guitar to it. Fantastic stuff. The 3rd track is Hades, which is an old Mournblade song. And it just came out fantastic. And you're going to love it. It's nothing but thrash, and some really heavy stuff. I thought the album, the 3-track EP just kicked major ass. And the lyrics was not childish. Some of the lyrics in here was actually very clever. I was very proud of the lyrics I wrote, because at the time, I think I was beginning to grow a little better in writing the material. Same thing for the 1917 CD. Was very clever. We picked up Todd again afterwards, which he finished being pissed off about. VD Records also sent out a number of samplers, and Volume 1 and Volume 2, which Mournblade appeared on. But we also picked up Andrew over that time. But because of the personalities in the band, like Todd refused to play anything off of that Pray for the Dead CD. He refused to play anything because he was not on it. And I doubt that Todd could even play the drums on this. This is so thrashy. You guys can be able to hear it on my YouTube channel that we converted all the songs and put them on YouTube, so you can actually hear the difference. So we picked up Andrew, who is a decent enough bass player. He's a nice guy, younger than we were. We were a bunch of old guys in our 40s. And we recorded Live at the Whiskey A Go-Go as a 4-piece band. I was very disappointed in this. Very disappointed. The PA system didn't work too well. I was screaming my head off. The band was not tight. It sounded very crappy. I was very disappointed in this. But I released it. I sent it to BD Records, and they released Mournblade Live at the Whiskey A Go-Go. We did 2 shows back to back, and we actually recorded on DVD. And I have the DVDs also converted to YouTube, where you can actually watch it and listen. And look how terrible we were. I had short hair. I was screaming because the PA wasn't right. The band was not balanced. And that's just the way it is. And roughly about 2 to 3 months after we recorded and released Live at the Whiskey A Go-Go, basically the personalities of the band basically came to an end. Rick got tired of the infighting. Todd was always fighting with Andrew because Todd was always high all the time. Andrew himself, he just didn't want to deal with it no more, dealing with Todd, and the band came to an end. And since then, I thought originally Rick might have died. Someone told me that someone at his work said that he died of something, but Rick has been out of contact. I recently got in contact with him about a year ago on Facebook. He said, "Screw you, dude. I'm not into that no more. I moved on with my life." He didn't even want to discuss it. And as for Todd, I heard that Todd might be in jail. Andrew, he's off doing his own thing. And I tried to reform the band with different guitar players, but they just didn't want to play our stuff because a lot of people thought our stuff was very amateurish. So these are my final thoughts after 14 years of Mournblade. And this will be the final video I do about Mournblade. Unless, of course, I hear anything about the 1917 sound track being recorded for another album for another band. So if I hear anything, I'll make a video about it. So ladies and gentlemen, heavy metal skinheads, punk rockers, long hairs, or whatever, this is Jeff Blackie giving his final thoughts on Mournblade.